Hi everyone. I have to just first of all admit that this is the first time that I ever do a video in my life. Um, yeah, I didn't participate in the where you came from in the beginning, which I'm kind of sorry for, but anyhow, here I am now. Um, so I'll just start off by saying Anin, Bojo, Wawiscanesque Nadijnikas, Wabshishido Dam, Kitigan Zibi Donjaba. So my spirit name is Little Flower Woman, and it's a name that was given to me when I was pretty young. I think I might have been 8. And my First Nation is Kitigan Zibi in Maniwaki, Quebec. And okay, so how I started off. So I've been working as a registered psychotherapist, and it's interesting because I thought that, you know, I feel like I've come into work and work from a place of always wanting to work in an ethical way, and knowing that I'm also, bound by these rules that make up the practice of psychotherapy. And but this course, I was really relieved to read a lot of the articles that were talking about ethical boundaries, but also in consideration to the culture and the environment and the political and the historical. I found that really helpful because it has felt to me as if there's these absolutes on either side. And so you're either, a practitioner who is working from a very rigid set of rules when it comes to setting boundaries and working ethically, and yet so many times, and probably because as a clinician, I've only mostly worked in Indigenous community, that, I also understand that we work somewhat differently, and I've also seen where that can go wrong. And so I found it really helpful to read some of the articles that addressed that, and one of them that stood out for me was, well, there were a few that stood out, but one was, it talked about, I guess, I don't know what week it was, but we were talking about protective factors against vicarious trauma, and the fact that, and that there needs to be that attunement that happens and that connection. And because I was trained as a Gestalt therapist, the making contact and staying connected and staying present in the here and now is very much the foundation of how we work. And so I feel like that's been the way that I was trained in the Gestalt program, but also with the elder that taught me to work in our trauma and recovery program, that those were sort of the most crucial, important pieces around how to create safety with groups and with clients who are working through their issues of trauma. And so when that article talked about, that empathic engagement, and that it can actually be a protective factor. I knew that just because of the Gestalt training, and they talked about the more present in the action, and actually the more contact and connection that you have with a client, the less susceptible you actually are to burnout or vicarious trauma. So I found that article really interesting because it just reinforced things that I knew but perhaps couldn't put into words, and it always feels good when you're validated with various articles or